Xbox On.
Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I am said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of July 2nd, 2026, including Xbox console prices are going up again. The studio closure rumors keep getting worse. Sony gets in on all the layoff fun with Bungie, all that and more. On this week in Xbox history in the year 2025, 1 year ago, Xbox closed the initiative. Now, this is a very fitting way to start off this week's show because, like it or not, again, I don't make the news. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be negative. We have, unfortunately, strictly negative news to talk about, today. Not negative as in, less than zero stories, but negative like all the news stories are unfortunately bad news, and that is not by design. I promise you. I try to look for the happy stuff. They're just what do you want me to do? The games industry is not in the greatest place as far as the industry health and the job security for developers and things like that. I mean, we're doing great as consumers. You know, we got great games to play, although I guess if you're trying to get in on hardware, now is a horrible time. But other than that, unfortunately, it's just what we're being given. The initiative, this one, we don't have to get into the initiative. Obviously, it's been a year. Perfect Dark looked really good. I'm still very salty about this. If the rumors of what's about to happen very shortly are about to truly happen, I will say I think Xbox has probably canceled more notable games this generation than they have released. I mean, Perfect Dark looked fucking sick. And I'm still sad about that. What do you want me to say? But that's okay. Let's talk about a game that didn't get canceled. Let's talk about notable game releases of the week. RV There Yet comes to Xbox on June 30th. It's already out as of the time you're listening to this show. Now, I thought this was already on Xbox. I know this has been on Steam for a little bit. This game was quite popular, especially early this year on Steam. It's one of those, as the kids say, quote unquote, friend slop games where it's like, it's like $5 to $10 for the game. It's a game you're going to play like one or two times with your buddies over a night or two, and you're going to, fuck around and play this like mechanics, physics-based, goofy 1 to 4 player experience. This game, I don't fully know what all you do in it. I own this game. I have played this game one time, and I don't really know what you do in this game, but you're a little guy, and you're going camping. You got your little RV, and it gets stuck in the mud and stuff, and you got to like pull it, and you got to like drive it, and you got to like maintain it, and you got to like set up a campsite, and there's like little obstacle courses, and you and your buddies got to work together to help the RV trek across this campground, and you can smoke cigarettes and push your buddies off cliffs, and it's a goofy, funny game that I realized very quickly after buying it is not fun when you're playing it by yourself. But I know people really like this game. It's been a wildly popular indie hit on Steam, and I hope people on Xbox enjoyed it as well. But that is it for notable game releases this week, as we are deep into the slower release schedule of the summer months. Guys, let me preface this week's podcast with a little bit of news before we hop into the news, like a little bit of information about the show before we hop into the news that we talk about on the show. And that is that next week on Wednesday, I have my little nephew Pooh coming to visit me for a little bit. So I will be indisposed during the middle of the week, which is usually when I'm working on the podcast. So to combat that, I will be editing, recording, and prepping the show early this next week. So next week's episode will go live Thursday like it always does, but I will be recording it on a Monday night, which means I'll be recording it, a full, 3 days before you guys actually hear it. So that being said, this is a really, really risky move because there's a slight chance that all this bad stuff has happened by the time I record, and we'll cover it on the show Monday, but there's more likely a chance that all this bad news will happen in between the time I record the show and the time the show goes live while my nephew Pooh is visiting me. So this is probably going to be horrible timing. Whatever, we'll see. It sounds like from what the rumors are suggesting, this horrible news could go live as early as Monday. But it could be sometime later in the week next week. I thought usually the rule of thumb was when you have really, really bad news, you announce it on a Friday. so that, it's, so you put the bad news out there, the stock market closes at the end of the day Friday, and then you let people sit with the bad news over the weekend before the market opens again on Monday. And then people have had time to kind of sit with the bad news or mull it over and hopefully not be so frustrated about it, especially investors. Although I guess Microsoft probably doesn't really give two shits about how investors see the good or bad news at Xbox. I mean, it really just does seem like Microsoft cares about Xbox just enough to feel like they need to get their hands in it and fuck with it, but not enough to where they actually give a shit about it. Like, that's kind of how it feels, at least. Not that that's true. That's just how it feels. But anyway, I just want to put that out there in case, in case next week's episode goes live and I'm like, guys, I took a shower this week. And then you're listening like, when is he going to talk about the fact that Halo Studios just got fucking downgraded to Halo Entertainment or something? I don't know. Like, I hope it lines up perfectly. We shall see. I hope the news is that everything's a lie. No one's getting fired. Games are keep going. We're going to keep making games. That'd be even better. But let's be honest. Xbox leadership can't shut the fuck up. So the fact that they're not saying anything means that these rumors are probably 100% true. So not to be a downer, just being rational, realistic, based on the evidence and the facts and the rumors and the reports that are in front of us. Anyway, with that said, guys, let's hop into the news. Starting with the news of the Xbox hardware going up in price. So this one happened shortly after last week's show. Let's read from VGC. It says, Microsoft is raising the price of Xbox Series S and X by $100 for the 512 gigabyte model and $150 for the 1 terabyte models, it is announced, while the 2 terabyte model of the Xbox Series X will be completely discontinued. Beginning August 1st, so a month from now, the cheapest Xbox Series X console, the 1 terabyte model without a disk drive, will retail for $750, while the disk drive model will retail for $800. The cheapest 512 gigabyte Series S model, which, remind you, launched at $299 back in 2020, will now cost $499, with the 1 terabyte S model going for $600. Microsoft raised the prices of its Xbox consoles twice last year. The latest rise means that Xbox Series X disk drive models now cost $300 more than they did at launch in 2020. The Series S is 50% more expensive. I mean, listen, this is the only thing you gotta think about. An Xbox Series S, base model Series S, now costs the same amount as what an Xbox Series X cost in 2020 when it was first released. That is fucking insane, especially considering that I bought an Xbox Series S 1 year after it came out for $250. So my $250 Xbox Series S is now valued at $500. Are you fucking kidding me? My Xbox is an appreciating asset. I shit you not, as someone who bought a post-pandemic high interest rate shit mortgage fucking cookie cutter builder home. I'm pretty sure my Xbox hardware has appreciated in value more than the home I've lived in for the past 3 years. Like, that's how fucking ass backwards the world is right now. But anyway, here's a statement from Microsoft where they blamed the price increase on the current component crisis impacting the consumer electronics industry, which has seen 3 major console manufacturers raise prices significantly: Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. Although I think it's clear as day that Nintendo handled this the best out of these 3. They say, quote, we hoped another price increase would not be necessary, and we spent the last several months working with suppliers on options, but unfortunately the console storage and memory prices have increased by more than 2.5 times, and we expect another doubling by the fall of 2027. New Xbox console prices in the US. So just to sum it up, this is the Xbox Series X. If you get 1 terabyte with the disk drive, it is $800, up $150. If you get 1 terabyte digital, it's $750, up $150. The Xbox Series X 2 terabyte, completely discontinued. Then there's the Xbox Series S. The 512 gigabyte model is up $100 to $500 US, and the 1 terabyte model is up $150 to $600 US. So you can clearly see, like, the difference between the Series X disc version and digital version is a $50 difference. And then the difference between the lower storage and the higher storage Series S model is is $100 difference. So you can see just in the pricing alone that like the price jump has way more to do with like the hard disk drive space and the RAM and things like that, and way less to do with like bigger components like a disk drive and things like that. So it is fucking it's not gut wrenching. That's horrible to say. That's way too dramatic. It is just so incredibly disheartening because, anyone who's older than like 3 years old remembers a time when, by this point in the Xbox in the console generation's life cycle, the PlayStation fucking 5 should be on sale this holiday for like $299, and the Xbox Series, honestly, the Xbox Series S by this point in its life cycle should have major sales, if not have a current price, like a permanent price of $199. Like they should be able to be like, get the all new Xbox Game Pass, reworked Game Pass with the new Xbox logo and all the new reinvigorated Xbox brand. Get in on the fun for $199. $199 gets you an Xbox Series S with a fucking Fortnite V-Bucks card and a free month of Game Pass Ultimate. Like they should be able to sell you that right now. But where we are instead is that console is $500 fucking dollars. That Jesse is a wise ass money guru, because in 2021 he bought an Xbox Series S that he did not need, because in 2020 he bought an Xbox Series X. This is so backwards. This makes no sense. Anyway, here's the thing that blows my mind. Sony made it clear. They said, hey, we really like jacked up the prices on PS5 a lot because we wanted to make sure that we wouldn't have to do this again. We raised it enough to make up for the current conditions and to account for what we assume will be the conditions in a year or two. So Sony tried, or they say at least, that the recent price increase that PlayStation experienced back in April had everything to do with trying, or everything around it has to do with trying to make sure that this is the one and only time they have to do it. The fact that Xbox has done this shit 3 fucking times is just, I mean, like, what do you do at that point? It's like, because now there's nothing to trust. It's like, well, they're even saying that they expect the price of console storage to go up another 2.5 times by next year. So it's like, okay, so should we expect the 1 terabyte disk drive Xbox Series X to be a $999 console in another year or something? Like what are you telling us? Because this shit is just out of control. Now, for context, we talk about Xbox Series consoles being as low as $500, as much as $800. And then on the PlayStation side of things, for those who need a refresher, if you buy the discless version of the PS5, it is $650 right now. So yes, technically the cheapest Xbox is still $150 cheaper than the cheapest PlayStation. But wait, actually, am I right with saying that? So that's a slim model, 1 terabyte. No, the cheapest PlayStation right now, I'm sorry, I misspoke, is the PlayStation Digital Edition, which is $600, which is $100 cheaper than the Series S. So if you're buying an Xbox Series S for $500, for $100 more, you could get a PS5, which is also digital, has 825 gigabytes instead of 512. So you get additional storage, plus you're on the platform everyone wants to be on, plus you get a console that is as powerful as an Xbox Series X instead of a downgraded console like a Series S. It just seems like this is a horrible value proposition to have the Series S and PS5 digital priced against each other like this, especially when they came out. PS5, the disc version was $450 and the Series S was $300. So it was a $150 price gap. I feel like you need to maintain that. I feel like the Series S really shouldn't go above $450 in an effort to make it competitive with PlayStation. But let's be honest, I think at this point there is no ability and or effort to make things price competitive between these two brands. I think it's just Sony trying to protect their highly coveted brand, and Xbox is just fucking flailing. Xbox is a 38-year-old man who's never touched pool water in his life, swimming for the first time while drowning with floaties on. Like, they're not even in the same league right now. It's so bad for Xbox. And now I have, because of this comment, and because of the precedent, now that this is a third time, I have every reason to believe we'll see these prices go up again next year, because it is widely speculated and suggested by analysts and different tech companies that this problem isn't going away, that things will get worse next year. This isn't like the worst has happened. Now we just got to rough it out and things will slowly get better over time. The wide understanding is that things have not gotten the worst that they will get, which is just fucking insane. I mean, how the hell are we bumping the price of the Series S to $500 in 2026? And you expect me to be excited about, oh, next year we're going to have a Project Helix. We're going to have a $1,500 PC hybrid Xbox console, possibly made by a third-party OEM that runs fucking no games because we canceled them all and we fired everyone who makes games, and it costs an arm and a leg, and fuck you, and Game Pass still sucks. Like, is that the value proposition? Is that the selling point of another forced generation of hardware? It just seems like, I don't know, man. Like, I understand that you got to keep the train going, and I understand that inevitably a new console generation must happen. You can't linger forever. I do understand that in theory. It's just that I can't possibly imagine anyone giving a fuck about or having the money to justify moving into a new hardware generation, especially when Xbox is positioned to be the least valuable, least value-driven, least competitive that it has ever been by a massive, massive amount. And they're not doing themselves any favors. It's like a good E3 showing, and now everyone's fired and prices are going up. It's like, come on, guys, just 2 minutes, man. 2 minutes of just shutting your mouths, not breaking bad news, and just letting a good thing be. But no, we cannot have that in the world of Xbox. So unfortunately, the prices are going up yet again. Things are really, really rough out there, and I would not expect anything surrounding next-gen consoles to be even remotely good. I mean, remember, the Steam Machine was just brought up for pre-order a week ago, and I mean, that thing's like $1,100 to $1,300. It's fucking expensive, and that thing is, I think, less powerful or about as powerful as a Series X, so it's not looking good. Xbox does not have the negotiating power when it comes to hardware components that Sony has, and Sony certainly doesn't have the bargaining power of bigger companies like Apple. And the reason I bring up Apple is because Apple freaking said publicly a few weeks ago that the next iPhones are going to be affected by this stuff. So if even Tim Cook can't fucking get the Chinese slave labor costs down for his components so that he can sell you an iPhone and tell you that you're progressive for having an iPhone because he's gay sometimes, like, then I promise you, it's not going to look any better for a company like Microsoft, who's barely involved in hardware. So, I mean, they're a huge company, but they're not a huge hardware company. That's for sure. All right. So that is deeply unfortunate. I know it doesn't super apply to everyone listening to this show, because chances are, if you listen to a weekly Xbox podcast 5 years into an Xbox hardware generation, you probably already own a modern Xbox piece of hardware, or I know, as is the case anecdotally with a handful of you, you've probably already purchased and sold Xbox hardware and moved over to PC because Xbox has given you no compelling reason to stick around. So I know this doesn't really apply to those of us here, but it is still a huge problem, especially for a brand that is trying to reestablish itself, reset itself, and build a sense of value and relevancy and demand for their product, because this sure as hell doesn't make me want to buy an Xbox. It makes me want to suggest, dude, go buy a fucking lawnmower for $500. Go buy a lawnmower. Mow your grass, dude. You fucking nerd. The grass is green, just like the Xbox logo. So if it's long green that you're looking for, like the big bold capitalized Xbox letters, then just go mow your grass, and then go smoke your grass, and then go say hi to your neighbor, and then go get your mail, then go walk your dog, go be a real person. Touch grass is what I'm trying to say. Got him. I am so funny. All right, let's move on. This one happened earlier today after I'd already written out the notes, so we're just kind of plugging this one in here last minute, but it's a pretty important story. Actually, possibly in the short term at least, some positive news for Xbox, but in the face of an overarching negative situation. So let's get in here. Xbox is reportedly working on a way to let players turn their disc copies of Xbox Series games and Xbox One games into digital versions. As reported by The Verge, the feature, which is reportedly codenamed Disc to Digital, is being tested by internal Xbox testers at the moment. When players insert a compatible Xbox disc and install and play their games as normal, they will then be granted a digital entitlement for the game as if it had been purchased on the Xbox Store instead. This means that players can then remove the disc and continue to play the game as if it had been a digital purchase with all the existing benefits and entitles. As such, the digital version of the game is available for streaming on Xbox Cloud Gaming. Players with Game Pass subscriptions will be able to stream it. If it's a Play Anywhere title, they will also get access to the PC version. The report says that the features intend to work with Xbox Series X and Xbox One discs, but not 360 or original Xbox games. No, I assume that has to do with licensing issues with games that may or may not be backwards compatible. It's probably something that, just like how Xbox couldn't automatically make all classic games backwards compatible on Xbox One, it's probably a similar thing where they can't like override the license agreement on behalf of older games from other parties because those license agreements didn't account for these kinds of future technologies. So I'm assuming it has to do with that. But anyway, in order to prevent widespread sharing of each game, the digital entitlement will also be tied to each disc. This means if players give their disc to a friend, trade it in, or try to play it with a different Xbox profile, the digital entitlement will swap over from account to account. This will reportedly continue to work after they've been installed, and players will only lose their entitlements to keep playing it if the disc is given to a friend or sold to someone else. The news comes on the same day that PlayStation has announced they will no longer be releasing physical games on disc from January 2028 onward, all but confirming that the PlayStation 6 will not even have a disc drive. All right, so this is a big deal because let's talk about it honestly, because it sounds kind of exciting up front, but let's be pretty fucking honest. The odds that Xbox is going to sit out, because really this story first revolves around the news that everyone's upset about with PlayStation right now, which I'm not happy to see it, but it's a little refreshing to see some negative PlayStation news in the media cycle just because of how much Xbox is always the one getting shit on, although they deserve it. It's reasonable with what they're doing. But anyway, PlayStation basically said, fuck you, beginning in 2028, we're not doing physical games anymore. Everything is digital, which is crazy. It's the inevitable future in a large sense, but it's also crazy to see someone finally pull the trigger on it, especially someone like PlayStation, someone who usually is the last one to do the necessary but unfavored fan thing. So I'm a little shocked to see that this is happening at the hands of Sony, and so soon, ? I don't really know that it's so soon, but it feels that way on first blush. Anyway, I think it's awesome that the news is Sony. Well, and first of all, we've known about this with Xbox. This has been a rumor for a while, but this is like the details. This is like the tea on how this would work. Having a moment where PlayStation is saying, fuck you, physical games, you're going digital, fuck you, deal with it. And Xbox at the same time is going, actually, we have this amazing program we're working on, which is going to allow you to take your Xbox One copy of GTA 5, plug in your Series X, and then you'll be able to download the game from the store and play it as if you owned it digitally. However, if you take your physical copy of GTA 5 for Xbox One and you sell it to GameStop, or you give it to your buddy and then someone else puts it in their Xbox and plays on their account, they will get the digital license entitlement and you will no longer have access to it. And as a side note, this is what DRM is for. Is for stuff like this, by the way. So like, this is why consoles have to be online and all the rest to make sure you have access to these titles. But assuming that that's the method through which they'll, be able to check and enforce this policy and this feature, that's a fucking beautiful feature. I mean, I have a couple of Xbox One games physically that I wish I had digitally because I hate having physical media. So like, it'd be nice to get my Wolfenstein games digital, my what is it? My Metro games and things like that. I'm just thinking of a couple like older Xbox One games in particular that I have physical copies of. Destiny 1 I have physically. That drives me fucking nuts. But anyway, this is a super, super cool idea, especially because it's like, if the game is also Play Anywhere or cloud streaming, now you're not penalized for having a physical copy that doesn't entitle you to those other features. You're in fact expanded into having options like Play Anywhere or like cloud streaming, because now your physical game can be used as a digital key entitlement, which is just absolutely beautiful and seamless. And dude, what really pisses me off here is Xbox is so bad at taking a win. They're only good at shooting themselves in the foot, because what they really ought to do in a situation like this, where everyone is currently up in arms about what PlayStation's doing, Xbox needs to just put out a cheeky fucking little video that's 15 seconds long on social media where two Xbox executives get fucking Matt Booty and Sarah Bond, Asha Sharma, get them to have a fucking mockery of that PlayStation video from 2013 where it's like, how to share physical games on Xbox. And it's like, oh, can I borrow that game? Yes, here you go. And hand like Halo campaign remastered or whatever, or hand fucking Fable or Gears E-Day, hand it, from Matt Booty to Asha Sharma and be like, thank you. And then just be like, fuck you, because this is the moment to kind of punch back at Sony, to make Sony look weak. Now, obviously, Sony is doing something like this because the numbers suggest that the overwhelming vast majority, 90+% of people choose digital over physical media, and that this is a great way to cut costs and just go where the market is inevitably gone anyway. So I get that, like, Sony, despite all the negativity online, will get away with this, and it's not a big deal at the end of the day for them financially in terms of repercussions. I don't think they will really have to face any. I really think they're going to get away with this one, no problem. It's like how zero people switched away from iPhone when they got rid of the headphone jack, but you heard people bitching about it for 12 years. It's like it's going to be one of those things. So I bring that up to say I don't think Xbox is going to win notable market share from doing this, but I think Xbox needs every ounce of optics that they can get right now. And a great way to win some optics would be to post a video like that. Be like, oh, PlayStation is discontinuing physical media on their console. Well, introducing the disc to digital program. Here's how it works. And then alongside the announcement of that, put out a video and be like, how to share games on Xbox. And be like, or make it even funnier, be like, it is the year 2028, and John wants to share his copy of Halo with his friend Bill. How will you share this game? And then he just hands him the disc. He goes, thanks, bro. I'll give it back to you when I'm done. And then it's like, even better. Just like really spit in Sony's face, really make them look stupid, really make them look shitty, and really get that loud minority of physical media enthusiasts and hardcore gamers who want to preserve physical media. Get them riled up, like give them a reason to be like, yeah, fuck PlayStation. Yeah, Xbox is right on this one, because you know what? In a few days, you're about to piss off everyone with all the layoffs and cancellations and studio closures and whatnot that you're about to do. So you might as well at least get your goodwill wherever you can fucking find it. But Xbox isn't good enough to do that. Knowing Xbox, instead of letting Sony step on the rake this time, they're going to be like, no, Sony, step aside. We'll do it for you. And they'll be like, I don't know, Xbox will be like, we're discontinuing physical media in 2027 to get ahead of PlayStation. And we're going to increase the cost of digital games because fuck us. Please buy our console. I feel like I could see something like that happening because that's kind of how Xbox operates. But I do think this is an inevitability, and I do think Xbox will follow suit in the future. But I think having this disc to digital program is an incredibly consumer friendly move. It's very much in the vein of like the things Xbox does, and I love everything about this. I hope it works as it's being reported, and that it's something that is implemented sooner rather than later. I think this would be a great 25th anniversary kind of announcement if they want to bring that up, later in the year when the 25th anniversary celebration occurs. Now, I think the last thing that has to be mentioned about this before we move off this subject matter, is just the broader idea of, how do you feel about the idea of losing physical media? The fact that PlayStation is doing this, the fact that Xbox will certainly follow suit at some point in time, whether it's tomorrow or in many years from now. I think it's important, worth noting, as someone who is very pro digital content, as someone who has no desire to buy my video games physically, as someone who subscribes to a music service, subscribes to TV services, does not own Blu-rays or DVD box sets or any of the rest. Like I don't have vinyl. I don't care about any of that shit. As someone who this will affect 0%, this scenario really does trouble me. I feel like there should always have physical media. Like I personally don't care that Grand Theft Auto 6 is not available with a disc. Although I'm sure that maybe one day there will be an option like that. Like at some point they'll do a disc version. But what does bother me is the idea that in general, physical media for video games is going away. Because even though, as I outlined last week in the show, there's nothing you really gain from physical media because, vinyl gives you better audio quality. Blu-ray disc gives you better visual fidelity on your movies, which you lose during streaming due to compression. Like there's nothing that you get from physical games media that makes the game look or run better that you don't get from digitally downloading a game. Even though I do believe that and stand by that and think that it only makes sense that the overwhelming majority of people will choose digital over physical for the convenience factor, I still think that there is a place for physical media to exist. And I just feel like for the sake of gaming preservation, I don't know, like think about it. It's like you go to the fucking the Library of Congress and it's like, how do you preserve some like fucking Flash video game from newgrounds.com that kids played briefly in 2003? It's like, I don't know. You kind of don't. It's just like some throwaway digital thing that existed at one point in time that nobody's ever going to have access to or think about ever again. But it's like, how do you preserve Indiana Jones and the Great Circle? It's like, well, you take a fucking Xbox copy of the game with the manual and the disc included, and you put it in the Library of Congress, and you save it, and you preserve it for all of eternity, so people can know that this was that Indiana Jones game for Xbox that was really good, that could have helped sell a lot of Xbox consoles if Xbox weren't a bunch of fucking pussies that put it on PlayStation 6 months later. And then that is how we would preserve the history of that excellent video game that deeply underperformed because Xbox is killing their own console with Game Pass. Like, that's what we could have done. But instead, there is no option like that. And PlayStation announced that fuck physical media, we're going all in on digital only. The same day they announced, oh, by the way, the PlayStation 3 storefront and this PlayStation Vita storefront are shutting down next year. So fuck you. So it's like, Xbox 360 storefront already shut down, what was it, a year ago or two? I can't go buy Xbox 360 games digitally, but I can go on eBay and buy a used copy of Lost Planet 2 if I never picked that up back in the day, right? But like, what do you do on PlayStation? I don't know. What happens inevitably when a game comes out, it's digital only, and then that game gets discontinued or delisted and removed from storefronts in the future, and then there's no way to ever play the game again because there was never a physical version of the game released. Even if it's like, oh, that's a super rare physical game that goes for $500 on the used market, and 99.999% of people will never play it because it's so cost prohibitive and limited in availability. That is so much better for the preservation of that game than, oh, the game was released digital only, then it was delisted, and now nobody has any way of getting it. I think of the, this was a huge deal when it happened. It was actually on PlayStation 4. It was that PT game trailer, that playable trailer that was a Silent Hill game that Hideo Kojima was working on before Konami and him split. But there was a demo for this Silent Hill Hideo Kojima game on PlayStation 4 early in that generation that people were super hyped about, and people really wanted that game, and everyone was super crazy about it when it came out. And then the game ended up getting canceled. Hideo Kojima and Konami split up, and the game became vaporware. And then years later, Konami was like, well, because this game's never coming out, that demo that we made for PlayStation Network, we're taking it down. We're delisting it. So now there is no way to play that anymore. You can't go download it. You can't go buy it. It's just this lost to time demo for a game that was never released. How do you preserve something like that? Obviously it's a different scenario because we're talking about a demo for a game that's unreleased, but now, you take that same logic and you apply it to this, and it's like, yeah, there are going to be full blown games that don't get preserved because of shit like this. And, it rubs me the wrong way just because, I don't know, man, like I'm very like a very much a live and let live person. Like just because I don't find the value in physical media, like I don't want to own a physical video game or DVD, doesn't mean I don't want you to own one. Like I'm whatever. Like if people fucking prefer to have that and they find value in it, then I'm all for it. It's no skin off my back. I just, it feels, maybe it's one of those things where it's like, actually, I guess we could go back to the iPhone headphone thing, because like when Apple announced that they were getting rid of, actually the original version of that was when Apple announced they were getting rid of disk drives on MacBooks. That was the OG problem with that. But I think the more popularized version, the more commonly remembered version, is when Apple got rid of the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on iPhones. It was to improve water resistance, because 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks expose way too many outdoor elements from getting into the device. In addition to that, it was also because they probably wanted to fucking make AirPods and force everyone onto having wireless earbuds. But anyway, I was personally, like, this has zero impact on whether or not I will buy a future phone that does or doesn't have a headphone jack. It has no impact on whether or not I purchase another iPhone or another phone that has or doesn't have this feature. However, I can sympathize with and understand why people would be upset at the loss of that. That's very much how I feel. Like, I would never fucking wear earbuds that you got to plug in your phone. I think you're a dumb idiot if you have those, but if you like that, good for you. I would just always use wireless earbuds because I live in the 21st century. It's very much the same thing. It's like, I don't give a shit about having a physical copy of Gears of War E-Day. But if that's what you need to have to feel like you have the game, good for you. It does feel a little bit like, I don't know, one less level, one fewer, I don't know what I'm trying to say, like a little bit less access and control on behalf of the consumer as to what they have and how they have access to their games and their entitlements. And I don't mean to make this argument as a way to like walk back how I've been in the past, because I've been callously supportive and indifferent towards physical media and supportive in the form of or towards digital media. But I don't know. I think cutting the whole thing, it just sounds a little extreme. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Of course, that went longer than I thought it would. All right, let's talk about the Xbox bloodbath rumors. This is probably the biggest thing, but also the thing there's the least amount to talk about, because it's the calm before the storm, or as I think aptly titled this episode of the podcast, the storm before the storm, because it's all a shit storm right now. But by the time we're talking next week, this may have already happened, so I just don't want to waste too much time going into it. But there have been some developments regarding the rumors and expected layoffs, game cancellations, studio closures ahead for Xbox. So let's just read a couple things stitched together here. So a couple stories all pulled from VGC. Xbox has claimed that it's not reducing its overall investment in video games as it works to brace for an expected huge wave of cuts starting next week. The comment was made by a spokesperson in relation to the end of Hitman Studio IO Interactive, which confirmed on Tuesday that it had lost an external partner for an in-development RPG game. They have a game that they've been working on for a while. It's called like Fantasy RPG. That's like the code name for it. We talked about this on the show 2 or 3 years ago when they first kind of started talking about this. IO Interactive did. And basically the rumor forever was that the outside financing and investor that they had backing this game was Xbox, and that this was going to be some fantasy RPG game exclusively for Xbox from the Hitman developers, IO Interactive. So speaking to Bloomberg, Xbox spokesperson said that it was taking a fresh look at where investments were focusing on its highest priorities. So they say, we're not reducing our overall investment in games. We expect to invest about the same amount in content as we did last year. What's changing is where we're investing with the kinds of projects that we're backing. The online fantasy RPG has been in development with an yet to be announced partner, but internal documents shared by the FTC versus Microsoft trial from back in 2023 suggested that the partner was Xbox and that the game was set to be an Xbox exclusive. Now, as Xbox prepares for reports of widespread layoffs, Hitman and 007 First Light developer IO Interactive have announced that it has cut its ties with the unannounced partner and will have to make staffing decisions, which is fancy talk for people who worked on this RPG are getting laid off, which is really fucking horrible news coming from the developer who just had a massive success of 007 First Light on their hands. What drives me absolutely fucking nuts here, and maybe this is a little bit of a hindsight 2020 kind of thing, dude, 007 First Light comes out at the end of May. It's immediately a smash hit success. You could have seen that Xbox, like you could have imagined a reality where Xbox, had access to First Light, which they absolutely did early on, and they were saying, hey, this game is coming together amazing. It looks really good. We think this game is going to be really big. Since we are backing this fantasy project, let's have IO Interactive announce this game more formally at our Xbox showcase. So that way, 007 comes out at the end of May. People love it. It gets great reviews. It sells really, really well in its first week. And then like 2 weeks after the game comes out, the Xbox showcase takes place and we go, oh, that new 007 game you're all loving so much? Here's a new game from the people that made that game. And it's a new action RPG fantasy game only for Xbox consoles. Here's another exclusive for you, fuckboys. And that would have been like a mic drop moment. It would have been a huge get for Xbox, because even if this RPG game ends up being bigger than 007 or not nearly as big as 007, it is, again, it's another optical win where it's like, you have this studio in IO Interactive that's deep in Europe, fucking cheap as hell to develop over there, not a particularly huge team, very reasonable budgets for their games, and you can give them, $100 million and help them fund this game and get it exclusive on Xbox and get a pretty reasonable, low risk bet on a game that could be a critical darling onto Xbox away from PlayStation. And this would have been a good look for Xbox. But instead of being like, oh yeah, we see the value in having the new game exclusive on our platform from the people that just made the vastly popular 007 game, they go, nah, fuck you guys. We're pulling funding. Go fuck yourself. Go do what you want. Go make the game with someone else. I don't care. It's like, Xbox, dude, you guys have no fucking idea like how to do these things the right way. Like how is someone not in the room saying, whoa, here is the value in backing this project? Now, obviously Xbox had a lot more insight into how the game was coming along. Maybe they said, oh, this game's going to be really expensive and take forever and it's not really coming together. We don't want to be a part of this. I don't know. Maybe that's the case, but it just seems like, from an outside looking in situation, it just seems like this was kind of a layup for Xbox. And instead of like taking it and knowing what to do with it, they just fumbled the ball. And apologies for the mixing of the football and basketball analogy, but I mean, it really seems like such a stupid fucking move. But it gets worse, so let's keep going. So, Blade and Dishonored developer Arcane is reportedly another Xbox studio that is facing closure as part of the expected huge cuts at Microsoft. The first developers at risk of being shut down were named by Bloomberg as Compulsion Games, Double Fine, Ninja Theory, which we talked about last week, with Undead Labs later reportedly being a target as well. Now, The Verge reports that France-based Arcane Studios, best known for the Dishonored series and for Deathloop, is facing closure if Microsoft is not able to find a buyer for the studio. Sources tell me, quote, that Microsoft wants to cancel Blade as part of a wave of cost cuts and job losses that are planned for the company's Xbox game division, the publication said. Blade was originally supposed to debut later this year, according to its sources familiar with the game development. I'm told that internal ship date for the game slipped to 2027 and is also running over budget. Microsoft expected to announce the extent of its Xbox layoffs next week, with The Verge believing that it will lead to the studio closure or spin-offs, potential studio mergers, and canceled games. Arcane's Blade was announced during the Game Awards back in 2023. Now, let's stop before we keep going, get into Undead Labs and everything. Before we do, listen, let's give Xbox the benefit of the doubt and then talk about it realistically. I'm sure Blade was a very expensive game that was going over budget, and I'm sure that they had cold feet about it because what we've learned from EA with their Star Wars deal with Disney that they did for a decade, what we know about working with Disney from Sony's deal to have Insomniac make these Spider-Man games, is that Disney is kind of really fucking shitty to work with on video games because they take such a massive chunk of your revenue for licensing fees. Now, licensing fees are not uncommon. Obviously, that's how they make their money off of, letting other people make games based on their franchises. So that's not the problem. The problem is that Disney takes such hefty licensing fees that the budgets, and the cost of game development is so fucking high now that what we're seeing, like in the case with like these Spider-Man games that are selling insanely well on PlayStation, is that you have to sell so many fucking copies just to break even, that even if your game is a massive smash hit success, it might not be all that profitable just because game development is expensive and Disney takes a hefty cut of your profits after you make a game. Now, I wonder if Xbox is looking kind of like at Indiana Jones, because keep in mind, Indiana Jones is also Disney. And I wonder if they're looking at that going, yeah, Disney like really raked us over the coals with the licensing fees for Indiana Jones. And that game was a critical smash hit success. And it was a commercial, okay. It did well commercially. It didn't do amazing, but it did well commercially. I wonder if they're saying, yeah, I mean, that game barely made any money just because of how expensive it was to work with Disney. I wonder if they're looking at then saying, well, Blade is a similar situation. Now, I'm sure Xbox is not paying for Indiana Jones and Blade what Sony paid for Spider-Man. These are not equal IP, obviously. Blade is a deep bench character because, I mean, like, if you're not a millennial or older, you don't really know who the fuck Blade is. I mean, the Wesley Snipes movies are old by today's standards, and as a comic book character, he's a little more obscure. Like, he's not been properly introduced in the MCU. Deadpool and Wolverine, shut up. He's not been properly introduced in the MCU, and the attempts to get new Blade movies have just fallen apart every fucking time at Marvel. So you got to imagine it's like somewhat of an obscure Marvel character, a hefty licensing fee from Disney, and games are super expensive to make, and this game's been in development for a while, and it's not maybe coming along as easily and as affordably as Xbox maybe anticipated. Maybe they can look at that and go, okay, Blade's not working out. It's possible. I always thought, but never really articulated, to be fair, that Blade was a weird choice. I think it's a cool choice. I think Blade would translate very excellently to video games. I thought Blade would be a cool bench pull for, not going back to the generic, overly used modern Marvel IP. It's not like they're just doing Guardians of the Galaxy or Avengers or Spider-Man. It's like, it's something that nobody was expecting. And I think that's commendable. I think that's fucking cool. But that is me trying to give Xbox the benefit of the doubt surrounding the Blade situation. Now let's talk about it from the rest of the situation. If you shut down Arcane, you are fucking insane. You are certifiably insane. Xbox has got to be careful. It's got to be careful. And now let's talk about this in conjunction with the next one, because it is getting dangerous with like how deep in they are going in their lineup of studios, because a fourth studio has been rumored to be at risk now, according to GamesBeat. State of Decay 3 developer Undead Labs. According to the publication, the Seattle-based studio is also searching for a buyer, with around 110 jobs at stake if it fails to do so. Other divisions, such as Blizzard, Bethesda and others, are expected to be hit with percentage layoffs, according to GamesBeat. So expect some Bethesda and Blizzard layoffs in addition to studio closures for other teams. This is likely the biggest single cut series for Xbox, according to sources. Undead Labs was acquired by Microsoft back in 2018 and has spent 8 years since trying to release this new title under Microsoft. Okay. Again, I know Undead Labs has really... And I hesitate to really say Undead Labs. Xbox has kind of screwed, as they say, like screwed up with State of Decay 3, because this game has been in development hell. There was the report from Kotaku a couple years back that things were really not going well, and that they internally had to like reboot the game a few times, and that they lost key leadership and talent over just people arguing over how the game ought to be and things like that, and just wasn't coming along the right way at the beginning. But the game, we saw at the Xbox showcase, and we've been seeing footage of it pop up on YouTube, like extended gameplay footage from certain developers and stuff. And the game looks pretty good. Like, I've always wanted to like State of Decay, but it's just never been my cup of tea. But even as someone who's not necessarily going to play this game or love this game, I can look at the trailer and tell that this is a quality looking game. I mean, it's a huge improvement, or it looks to be a huge improvement over the previous entries, and people fucking love State of Decay. Here's the thing that I don't get. State of Decay 2 did really fucking well and had a really long tail. Like, people still play that game all the time, and it had a crazy amount of support. So if you're looking for a game that reaches a mass audience, can stand on its own for years and years with some minimal support, and kind of serve as a service type game model for you, why the fuck would you get rid of State of Decay 3? I mean, I know they're in an expensive area being in Seattle, but like, they're a medium-sized team. They're not a big team. They're a medium-sized team. They make a game that does really well, has tried and true. And here's the thing is, like, Undead Labs is a very, very natural fit for Xbox. I mean, these were a bunch of indie guys that made this Xbox Live Arcade game, State of Decay, in 2013 for the Xbox 360 as almost like a swan song kind of game for that console. And Xbox really helped help them guide along the development process and get that game across the finish line. And then they worked with them hand in hand on State of Decay 2. And honestly, Xbox has been like a natural fit for this studio for as long as they've been around. They've worked hand in hand and been really great together. So when Xbox bought them in 2018, this was one of those acquisitions where I was like, yeah, I'm all for this. This is a very natural merge. This is like when they bought Playground. This is like buying Gears of War from Epic and then forming the Coalition. It's like, this is a very natural fit for Xbox. So getting rid of these guys, I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? This game is actually ready to go. It's coming out next year. It's like we're past the hard part, man. The game is good. We got past the hardship and everything. It almost makes me wonder. It's like, does Xbox really think that they're going to get more money back shutting down these studios and writing off these games than they would make if they just fucking released them and saw what happened? Like, because it's not like, oh, Blade is a year into development, it's not working out, we're canceling the game. It's like, no, Blade's been in development for like 4 years. You know, State of Decay 3 has been in development for like the better part of a decade. It's like, if you're going to cut the cord on State of Decay and cancel the game, the time to do that was like 2021. Like, what is this shit? You know, it's like the horrible decision making. This is the worst of all worlds. You spent the maximum amount of money and time developing a game that you ultimately are going to cancel, not release, and make $0 on. And then if you do it as like a write down for taxes and shit, like a write off for taxes, like it's not going to undo the shit you did by spending all this money and time developing nothing, you know? So I'm just deeply concerned by this, because you have Arcane on the one hand, which is like a beloved critical darling of a studio. People absolutely adore Dishonored. This is a studio you want in your repertoire because, one, they make great games, and two, they're definitely a prestige clout kind of game studio. And then Undead Labs is not that big, not that expensive, and they make a game that fucking makes money and has a long tail and a huge audience that will retain, you know, player engagement over a long period of time, which is what you fucking want. Yes, State of Decay 3 is not going to sell GTA numbers or anything like that, but it's gonna have a very large audience, do very well for Game Pass, and keep people hooked for years and years when it comes out. So I'm telling you, man, it's like State of Decay 3 has potential to be a bigger game than Gears of War E-Day, honestly. And I say that because it's like, dude, I feel like sometimes Xbox overestimates the relevance of some of their older franchises. It's like, listen, man, Halo and Gears are not what they used to be. And I say this as someone who loves Halo and Gears, whose whole gaming identity is built around like that era of Xbox. You know, it's like, but I can see the writing on the wall. I can be in touch with reality enough to tell you that the number of people who are going to buy and play Gears of War exclusively on Xbox is going to, you know, pale in comparison to like the number of people playing Sea of Thieves across all platforms. The amount of money and the amount of time people are going to think about it like this, like State of Decay 3 is closer to a Sea of Thieves than it is to a Gears of War E-Day. You know, Sea of Thieves is a game that people are still playing in mass droves to this day, and it came out in 2017. When was the last time a Gears of War game came out? It was still played regularly 9 years after it came out. Right. There is none, because that's not how that works. So I'm just saying, it's like State of Decay 3 has potential to have a longer burn, a longer tail than a game like Gears of War. I'm not saying it will sell more day one. It won't sell more copies up front, but in the long run, it has potential to be a longer term success for you than a game like Gears of War. So why the fuck would you get rid of State of Decay 3? Remember, I understand we're trying to make Xbox healthy. I understand we're trying to make it a profitable company, but you do need to have games on your console in order to sell the platform to people. Just remember that as third parties start to have this mass exodus with the Xbox platform, you are going to need to bolster your own platform with some of your own content. I understand tough decisions need to be made, and that compulsion might not make it. And we can all be upset with that reality while understanding the economic circumstances that put you in the situation you have to do this. Like, I can get why Ninja Theory closes. I don't want it to happen. I'm pissed that it's happening, but I can get why it's happening. I can't wrap my brain around why the fuck, after 9 years of development, you're going to be like, all right, State of Decay 3, it's not working out. Undead Labs, you're all fired. Go home. We're shutting this thing down. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Now, remember, the other rumors are that, you know, some of these studios are in talks to get their games spun off and it's the studio spun off and go independent. And maybe they're working out Toys for Bob like deals with some of these guys. And like maybe Arcane and Undead Labs go independent, and then they continue these games that are only about a year each out from being finished. And then they have a deal with Xbox where it's like, hey, we don't own your studio anymore. We don't pay to keep your lights on anymore, but we're still invested financially in these games, and we'll still publish them, and, you know, we'll have them be exclusive to our platform. Sure. But we're not going to own you and pay your utility bills that you're building and your health insurance for your pregnant female coworkers or whatever the fuck you got going on there that we don't want to pay for. Like, this is, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's even really an option, but, fuck. I mean, I'm not doing a good job putting this into words, but I feel like you know what I'm saying. Like, you can feel the thing I'm saying, where it's like, Double Fine, you sure about that? It's like, Arcane, Undead Labs, it's like, these seem like really bad targets for studio shutters, but it's like Compulsion, Ninja Theory, it's like, oh yeah, I really hope it doesn't happen, but I could see why if someone needs to go, it's these guys. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but like, you understand, it's like, nobody fucking played Hellblade 2. And in fact, really, there's this Laura Fryer, the former Xbox executive, well known for her time at early Xbox, and then as an executive helped with the Gears of War series in the early days and whatnot. She has a YouTube channel that sometimes pops off a little bit with some of her like essay type videos she does. Her analysis videos she does, and she actually just did this one about Xbox in the studio closures and stuff coming up, and it's really good, and I highly recommend it to you. It's actually an excellent watch. And she mentions this, and she basically talks about like how, the gist of the video that, when Phil and the old guard bought these teams in like 2018 and stuff, they did these teams a disservice by saying, hey, we want to be hands off. We want to empower you to make the games you want to power. Here, take money, build your staff up, get a nicer studio, go make the game you're inspired to make, and feed the Game Pass machine. And now the Asha Sharma administration is being tasked with the burden of being like, okay, this is not financially viable. Game Pass did not grow along with the money spent on these teams. Games like Kiln and Hellblade are not going to pay the bills and bring profit in. So someone's got to reel this in and do something about it, because there was not enough management involvement from Xbox making sure that these investments, these game developer acquisitions were, going to bear any kind of fruit. And she plays in the video, she plays these like clips from like interviews from like Double Fine and from Ninja Theory. And there's literally this clip from from Ninja Theory, where someone at the studio is talking about becoming an Xbox studio and Hellblade 2 and all that. And they're saying, Hellblade 1 in 2017 was made on a shoestring budget from a team of about 20 people. We used the bare resources we had to put that game together. And can you imagine what we could do if we revisit the series, but now we have the financial backing of Microsoft, and we have a team of 100 people instead of a team of 20 people. And they literally talk about this. And it's so crazy listening to that interview with the hindsight of how Hellblade 2 worked out, because it's like, wow, you literally had 5 times the staff, probably 10 times the budget. And, wow. And you managed to make a game that feels entirely unnecessary. In most people's opinions, I think Hellblade 2 is a little better than Hellblade 1, but most people think Hellblade 1 is better. So you managed to take a decade, a shit ton of money, and a huge team, and basically come short of something you did on a shoestring budget for dirt cheap back in 2017. It's like, yeah, that tells you everything you need to know. That's such an eye-opening clip and quote to kind of make this point of like, it's easy to be frustrated at Xbox for what they're doing, but it's also incredibly reasonable to understand that they are in a situation where these decisions have to be made. You might not think they're making all the right decisions, but difficult decisions like this have to be made. And Asha said that the next 100 days are about resetting the brand, about resetting Xbox. That's what this entails. It's about cutting the fat from the meat, and it's about, going with the things that are going to bear fruit and not just investing in everything and anything you can throw money at. And people aren't going to, it was easy the first 100 days because she's like, I'm just learning Xbox. Oh, you guys like the green logo? Oh, you guys like all caps Xbox? Sure, here it is. Yay, get some goodwill. Oh, let me lower the price of Game Pass for you because everyone ditched that thing. And now it's time to make the tough decisions. It can get better. If things are turned around and they make the moves that are difficult but necessary, they can turn things around. They can make Xbox look and run better and healthier, at least in the short to midterm. And we can say, wow, those were really shitty decisions that had to be made. It's unfortunate that's how it went, but at least Xbox is doing much better now. But I don't think you can go scorched earth on everyone in your stable, because at the end of the day, if you get rid of Arcane, if you get rid of Double Fine, if you get rid of Compulsion, if you get rid of Undead Labs, pretty soon you are the Xbox you were trying to get away from being back in 2018 before you acquired all these studios. Because with the exception of, yeah, we make money on Call of Duty even though it's on every platform, with the exception of, yeah, we own Bethesda and maybe someday they'll make another Elder Scrolls game, without the exception of In Exile is part of the Xbox family, believe it or not, and they're making this really awesome game that we're probably going to shut them down after they finish making. If you can ignore those three things, pretty much all Xbox is left with is Gears, Forza, Fable, Forza, what am I saying? Gears, Halo, Forza, and Fable. We're back to where we were in the Xbox 360 and Xbox One era. So it's like, so we started Game Pass. We bought a bunch of studios. We took massive liberties with the Xbox brand. We basically flipped everything upside down and shook up the whole industry. And for what? For a subscription service in Game Pass that sucks, that nobody likes, that is making you guys completely dependent on this thing that's also killing you? To what? Buy a bunch of studios that were doing just fine without you, just to put them in financial peril and mislead them through poor management? Like, what was the point of all of this? I could have told you in 2018, don't buy Activision, don't buy Compulsion, don't buy Ninja Theory, don't just buy things to buy things. I think Obsidian was a smart, savvy move. In Exile, I think, honestly, with better management, Double Fine was a smart move as well. And Undead Labs was. There were some great purchases. I mean, obviously, Playground Games was the no-brainer smart decision. That was like, I can't believe it took you that long to put a ring on it kind of thing. But aside from those, it's like Xbox has just made so many fucking stupid decisions. And on top of that, mismanaged these studios. You remember a few years ago, the reports that Arcane Austin, before they were shut down, they were hoping and praying that Xbox buying Bethesda would result in Xbox realizing that Redfall sucks and that they're going to cancel the game. And then they just didn't. And that's because the Phil Spencer administration was all like, oh, spread your wings, fly like a butterfly, make whatever your heart desires and put it in a Game Pass and we'll see how it goes. And then you got fucking Double Fine like staffing up like crazy and spending big bucks just to make these like obscure indie games like Kiln and Keeper. And I say this as one of the rare people who not only played Kiln and Keeper, but also purchased these games. I didn't play them through Game Pass. I purchased them when they came out at full price. And I can tell you, as someone who bought both those games, that is a studio that is making games that are unjustifiable as part of the Xbox family. You can, and I loved Keeper. I especially loved Keeper. I really liked that game. But oh my God, you cannot have Xbox money, Xbox backing, 100+ employees, and be located in the heart of San Francisco and be like, yeah, we're going to make a little indie game where you play as pottery and beat each other up. It's like, no, you don't get to do that, because even if Phil Spencer says go do that, it's what you need to do. At the end of the day, if you're not bringing to the table a big game that's going to help bring a lot of attention, a lot of money to the company, you're not creating value for Xbox. You're just creating what you want to do because Xbox said, here's a lot of money, please join us. And it falls on Phil Spencer and Matt Booty and their administration that they didn't take more control and manage them better. But it also falls somewhat on these developers for being like, yeah, let's take 10 years and 100 people and build a fucking sequel to Hellblade. It's like, that's stupid. Stupid on you to think that was the move. Stupid on Xbox to let you do it. Stupid on Xbox to not at some point be like, what are we doing here? It's been 4 years. What do we have to show for it? Stupid all around. Stupid for Xbox. Why couldn't Xbox just be like, hey, you can have a small team of people make Keeper. Have 15, 20 people make Keeper. That's a great little side project. We let Obsidian make what's Pentiment, a great little side project, but we need a majority core team spinning up a Brutal Legends or a Psychonauts 3 or something that's like AAA, something that is mainstream, something that is going to get people to subscribe to Game Pass or drop $70 on a fucking video game. Because listen, man, I tried to play Kiln a couple times. It's cute. It's a fun little concept. If it was made by a small indie team in fucking Iowa, I'd be like, oh, that was a fun idea. Not for me, but fun idea. But for a large veteran team in San Francisco with Xbox money, Kiln is an inexcusable game. And of course, the fact that that was allowed to make it from conception to market is the fault of Xbox for poor leadership and management. But also it's like, damn, how the fuck did Double Fine not just go like, man, you know, being owned by a company like Microsoft, there's probably a little bit of pressure to deliver the goods. Listen, I'm not saying Kiln's a bad game. I'm just saying I don't think anyone in their right mind could look at a concept like Kiln and go, that's going to be a smash hit success. It's like, I don't know, man. Anyway, yeah, and apparently, and I won't get into this, but apparently there's reporting, it's kind of vague reporting, but Shams Georgiani, the CEO of Arrowhead Games, the company that makes Helldivers, was saying on this Business of Video Games podcast that a lot of AAA and indie developers and stuff are talking about how the Game Pass money is somewhat drying up, that Xbox is striking fewer deals and backing out of deals and things like that. So with that said too, it's like, oh, okay, what? Listen, you dropped the price on Game Pass a little bit. You took Call of Duty out. You did some necessary things. What are you going to start doing? Putting fewer games into Game Pass? Like, you got to feed the machine. Netflix doesn't work if they don't put out new content. Like, so what's going on there? But listen, I don't want to linger on anymore because I think we have a lot to see how it unfolds, and we'll probably be talking about it next week. So let's just see how it goes. I you know, let me put my flag in the ground and just saying, obviously, I'm very frustrated, pissed off, disheartened, and saddened by these rumors, and that are almost 100% true, I'm sure. It's very fucking sad. And the idea of losing particularly teams like Double Fine and Arcane and Undead Labs, I think is just inexcusable. There are certain teams where it's like, I can see how that didn't work out. We talked about the Initiative at the top of the show. That one really personally bummed me out, but that team never even made a game. So there's no history. There's no team or name behind that. What the Initiative was, it was just some, for lack of a better term, it was just some initiative that just didn't pan out. But this is fucking bad, man. Like, I don't know, man. I think about it. It's like, I know the hardcore games industry is a loud minority in that they don't necessarily represent how the rest of the world is going to view you and treat you. But I would fucking hate to be the person or the company to put Tim Schafer's business out on the streets like that. That's a bold fucking move. I don't envy whoever has to do that, because that's going to fucking suck. All right, let's move on. Let's wrap up about the Xbox layoff stuff by just throwing in this thing here from Windows Central. That according to Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, which we don't have access to Bloomberg here, Assembly, which is the PR agency that Microsoft uses for Xbox and other communications, is laying off employees today. Jason Schreier said on Blue Sky that the massive Xbox layoffs won't happen until after the fiscal year ends, but a company is already ending contracts and cutting vendors. So Assembly, Xbox's main PR agency, is laying people off effective today. So it sounds like PR will probably be taken in-house with Xbox, but like, that is important to note because it serves as an example to really show just how aggressive and deep Xbox is getting with reducing expenditures on Game Pass stuff, reducing just money spent within the company altogether, reducing, game development costs by shuttering teams and canceling projects. Like, they are serious about looking for aggressive. They're getting very aggressive about ways to save money. This isn't like, I'm going to unsubscribe to Netflix to save money. This is like, I'm going to have fucking like hours of the day where we're not allowed to use electricity. Like, this is like real broke ass, try to save money in the summer with the AC bill type of dog shit that they got going on here. So it's dire. No one in Xbox has said anything, and Xbox can't help but talk all the time, which reminds me I'd probably be a good Xbox employee. But the fact that no one's saying anything means that these rumors are true and that some shit's about to happen. All we can do, I think, is just hope and pray that it is best case scenario and that a lot of these teams either end up finding investments elsewhere or spinning off and going independent and being able to do it on their own. I just think it's like, if you're another publisher or investor, why the fuck would you want to invest in a team making a game that Xbox use their own showcase platform as a way to say, hey, we don't see the value in this game or this team, but maybe you do. Maybe you want to buy them from us. It's like, that sounds like a really bad pitch. It's like, I don't know, if Ford was like, introducing the new F-150, the new Ford Mustang. Oh, and here's one of our old cars that we don't want to make anymore. We're going to sell it to fucking Toyota because we don't see the value in this car, but hopefully you guys will want to buy it. Maybe if Toyota buys it from us, I don't fucking know. Like we don't really believe in this car, but here it is. You know, it's like, you're basically just saying like, here's a game that we spent almost a decade making. We have no belief that this game will do well. Do you want to buy it? Okay. Sure. Oh my God. For $20. Yeah. Give me State of Decay 3 for $20, you fucking idiots. All right. Let's move on. It's Sony's turn to be idiots, actually. So Sony have announced that they will be making further layoffs at Bungie. The news was broken last week by the Destiny 2 studio in a statement on Twitter, which said, with great sadness, we are announcing a reduction in forces as we reorganize Bungie. They added, as leaders of Bungie, past and present, we recognize Destiny 2 fell short of expectations these past several years. Following our final content update with Destiny 2, with our future projects still in early incubation, we unfortunately could not continue operating at our previous size. So later on, they updated in Bungie studio head Justin Truman, who became the studio head last year, is now officially stepping down following the news of the layoffs. Bloomberg reported last month that Bungie was planning significant number of layoffs once the game's content ended, Destiny 2, and would be focusing on the extraction shooter Marathon in the near term. Some Destiny 2 developers moved over to that game, but a lot of people got laid off. So Bungie apparently did not have a new project lined up. They didn't have a Destiny 3 immediately in development. They didn't have it greenlit or anything. Sony reported a huge impairment loss with Bungie over the past 2 years following the release of Marathon. They've also apparently taken losses over just the studio just being not very profitable for them. Sony has not said how the game has performed, Marathon that is, since it released, but most indications suggest that the game is doing like okay, like it's got an audience, it's got legs, it's going to be fine, but it's just not a Destiny level smash hit like what Bungie needs in order to sustain the company and the team that they become. All right, so it's pretty bad over there, Bungie, and obviously this affects Xbox because, well, I mean, I just gotta say it's sad, man. Bungie has been doing Destiny for over 10 years at this point. Like I was there it was the last midnight launch I ever went to at a GameStop was to get Destiny 1. I remember going with my buddy Justin. We went to GameStop at 10 o'clock at night and stayed out and picked up Destiny, and we went home and we played it and we had a great time. I remember going to school the next day and being like, oh fuck, I want to go home and play Destiny. And I remember I was at college and like all these kids in my class were talking about it and people were fucking all over Destiny. It was Destiny this and Destiny that. That was the only time during my college years where it felt like a game was so popular that I was talking to kids at school about the new game that just came out. It was good times, and I love Destiny 1 and 2. I thought those games were just fucking excellent. It is sad seeing Destiny go from this absolute behemoth of a game to just kind of whimpering out. I respect that they kind of just wrapped up the story and said, hey, we've done what we need to do. Destiny's kind of over. But the fact that there was no game in the pipeline after Destiny or no Destiny 3 as like a clean slate to kind of pitch or propose, it's like, it's kind of just sad and rough that PlayStation overpaid so much for Bungie. They clearly had no idea what they were doing. Bungie clearly had no idea what they were doing next. And it just ended up being a horrible deal for everyone. And now everyone fucking suffers. So yeah, if we lose Double Fine, if we lose Undead Labs, I mean, just look on the PlayStation side of things, we're losing Bungie, it seems like, to some extent. I mean, Bungie is an absolute shell of what it once was. This is not the team that brought you Halo anymore, with all these cuts and what Sony's done to kind of really neuter them and somewhat just bring them in-house to be almost just another PlayStation studio at this point. It's sad, man. But unfortunately, the bad news just doesn't stop coming. Now, this next one here, as we start to wrap things up with the last two, stories of the week. This next one, it's kind of negative, but it's just kind of funny actually. I got a little chuckle out of it because I got this a notification on my phone just the other day. Let me actually mute my phone real quick. All right. So an alleged advertisement for this year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 is using the fact that the game is not coming to Game Pass on day one as a selling point. So this is apparently an ad that was a Reset Era person spotted and said, oh yeah, I saw this on Facebook. They're promoting. I don't know that this is true, this image, but it's like lock in early campaign access because you can play the campaign a week early on Modern Warfare 4 if you pre-order it. But then it says like, oh yeah, and the game will not be included in Game Pass. You must purchase it. Now, what I can confirm is real is they are sending notifications out to people on the Xbox app about this. I got this notification yesterday and it's like, hey, as a reminder, Game Pass subscriber, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 will not be coming to Game Pass day one and must be purchased to be enjoyed. I'm like, that's fucking brutal, man. Like, I wonder if they're doing that to kind of like bump pre-order numbers. If they're like, all right, pre-orders for Grand Theft Auto have opened, the floodgates are open, people have got their Grand Theft Auto money in, let's try to now focus on another push for Call of Duty. Maybe pre-order numbers were a little softer than they want them to be, and they're like, hey guys, don't forget, you're not getting it in Game Pass. Go pre-order the game. Don't forget to pre-order the game if you want to get Modern Warfare 4. Like, it seems a little desperate. It seems a little embarrassing. And it seems like a self-admission of failure in a way, because it's like, guys, remember the whole reason you bought Activision was to get Call of Duty in Game Pass. And now you're like advertising how much you fucking failed at everything by sending me a push notification while I'm at work at my day job to remind me that I will not get Call of Duty in my Game Pass subscription this fall. It's like, thanks, man. I already knew that, but thanks for letting me know. It's a funny one, but all right, let's wrap up this week's news with some hardware sales updates. So Xbox just had its worst May on record in terms of hardware unit sales, while PlayStation 5 fell to its lowest May sales since the year 2000, as consumers feel that the impact of increasing prices, or they feel the impact. Now, I feel like it's important, just because of how bad things are, to talk about this in context of all the major consoles. So let's read all this. So this is according to Circana, the video game analytic platform. Its latest video game sales report suggests that PlayStation 5 unit sales declined by 58% compared to last year in May, while Xbox Series hardware sales fell by 12%. Now, what's notable here is obviously PlayStation sales are usually pretty good, but it sounds like those price hikes that took place in April really killed PlayStation sales, which were doing good last year, and made them kind of hit a fucking wall this past year. However, for Xbox hardware sales to not be down 58%, but only 12%, you got to remember that Xbox sales have just been dropping precipitously month over month. And so for it to be down 12% compared to last May, already entails the fact that it's been dropping month after month after month. So overall, Xbox is down way more than PlayStation, but they're both down a very concerning amount. Overall spending on gaming hardware has actually increased by 38% when compared to a year ago, but this was propped up by the Nintendo Switch 2, which released in June. PlayStation 5 spending was down 43%, driven by recent price hikes, while Xbox hardware spending actually grew 7% compared to a year ago. That is very interesting. PlayStation spending was down 43%, and Xbox hardware spending was up 7%. Obviously, the prices of Xbox hardware are a lot more now than they were this time last year, but I think that means that between Game Pass prices dropping and Gears of War being announced as a console exclusive, it clearly drew some people out to go buy a fucking Xbox at a vastly inflated price, because they wanted to get in on some cool Xbox shit happening. Whereas this time last year, that enticement was not there, despite the fact that at that time prices had not been raised. So that is very interesting. Notably, the average price paid for a new unit of video game hardware reached $502 in May, which is up 14% compared to last year, which was $440. Last month, the average price of a PlayStation 5 console increased by 33% versus a year ago. And the Xbox Series console prices are up about 22% compared to this time last year. Thanks to the Series S, it means that Xbox hardware is still selling at an average lower price than PlayStation, but that might not be for long. Xbox just jacked their prices again. Nintendo Switch 2 was again the best-selling hardware platform in both units sold and dollars made for May and 2026 year to date. It had reached the end of its first year with the US install base of 5.9 million units, meaning in the first year on the market, now that the Switch 2 has officially been out a year, it has sold almost 6 million units in the US. Nintendo Switch 2 is the second fastest selling video game hardware in the United States, behind the Game Boy Advance. So in its first year, Game Boy Advance sold 6.5 million. In its first year, Switch 2 sold just under 6 million. That's very impressive. And I am also very impressed and did not know that the Game Boy Advance was the fastest selling video game hardware, which is pretty fucking interesting. Shout out to the Game Boy Advance. That thing is an absolute gem. I love that thing. It was also like $100, so maybe that's what helped. But anyway, 007 First Light was May's #1 title in terms of game dollar sales, debuting at as the fourth best-selling game of the year to date, while Forza Horizon 6 was the second best-selling game of the month, finished May ranked 5th year to date. I'm surprised that First Light made more money than Forza. Obviously, First Light's available on PlayStation and Forza is not. But still, I mean, between the PC market, I feel, and 007 being less of a PC-centric game, I'm a little surprised by that, but that is great to see for IO. I'm so happy for them and want to see them continue to succeed. So, guys, that is going to do it for all the news this week. I'm going to take a quick water break and then come right back, and we'll wrap up with some what games I've been playing and some comments and things like that. So, be right back. All right, we're back. So let's hop into the games I've been playing this week. But before I can tell you about that, psych, I don't want to tell you about what I've been doing this week. I just don't feel like it, Time to break tradition, time to do something a little different. We haven't really gotten into one of these in a long time that, of any value or meaning, so fuck it, I'm skipping it. We're jumping straight to the games I've been playing. Deal with it. So with that said, I have 2 games I've been playing. This past weekend, I was traveling a little bit. I was over in Tampa watching some baseball. So I was at a hotel for the most part over the weekend and didn't really have access to my full suite of games. So it was pretty much just me and a Switch. And I've been playing basically Star Fox, the new Star Fox game that just came out to Switch 2. I don't really want to get into it too much. Of course, it has nothing really to do with Xbox, but I will say that this is an excellent game an excellent remake of a game that I feel like I have simultaneously played a million times before and not at all, because I grew up in a house where Star Fox was there. One of my older brothers loved Star Fox 64. He was very big into it. I had played it a handful of times. It wasn't like my thing growing up. I've gone back and retroactively played Star Fox on SNES and, of course, the canceled Star Fox 2 on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, whatever, that was released a few years back. And then really my experience with Star Fox is predominantly in the Star Fox games that people probably mostly hate, which are Star Fox Adventure for the GameCube, which I don't think this is a hot take. I think people are just annoying and they adopt the internet discourse. Star Fox Adventure is actually awesome. It's a cool game. It's not a classic Star Fox game, but it is a cool game, and don't let the internet tell you otherwise. It's fucking annoying as hell. And then Namco developed Star Fox Assault, which I fucking love that game. That's probably my favorite Star Fox game. I think Star Fox Assault is awesome. It's a fun multiplayer, 4-player multiplayer game that me and my brothers used to have a kick with that game, and we used to have like friends over, and it was like a total absolute certified banger sleepover kind of game. But yeah, being able to like play Star Fox on foot with big missile launchers and then hop in the sky or get in a tank and like have these like arena deathmatch Star Fox missions. These were fun as shit. Star Fox Assault, criminally underrated game. I really hope they bring that game back in some way for Switch Online or something. And then I played Star Fox Zero for the Nintendo Wii U, which another game. Don't let the internet tell you that game sucks. It is slightly disappointing and underwhelming. And yes, it's very short and there's not much to it, but that game is fun. If you like Star Fox, you will like Star Fox Zero. It is fun. It's not amazing, but it is fun. So this new Star Fox game is just a really modernized, totally visually reimagined interpretation of Star Fox 64, which has been remade a bunch of times in a lot of ways, most recently the 3DS version. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, because Star Fox is a franchise that is so seldom explored, so few and far between, and really just irrelevant to the young modern generation. I know that this was intentionally meant to like coincide with that new Mario movie because Star Fox isn't in. They're trying to make Star Fox a thing for the new generation of kids. And hey, I hope it works because this game fucking rocks. And I like that they try to make it more cinematic and add a lot more cutscenes and things like that to add more context and texture to the game. And I think it's fun. At the end of the day, it's still Star Fox. It's still a very arcadey, on rails space shooter that feels really good. The controls are very modernized to feel very, very responsive and agreeable on the Switch 2. And it's a blast playing a game that you can beat in an hour. And then you can just go back and replay it again and again, but go through different pathways because the game is played in 7 levels, but there's like any permutation of these 20 different levels you can go through to get the 7 levels you play in each run to get through the game. It is very arcade style in the best way possible, and it's very fun. I've only played it through 2 runs so far. I've gotten both endings and having a blast with it. So it's kind of just been my because I was mostly just playing it in the hotel over the weekend, it's kind of now defaulted to be like my 30 minutes before bed kind of thing, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So Star Fox, really, really fun, really good. Looks and just feels great. And Switch 2 just continuing to be unequivocally the best thing on the market right now. Like, listen, it's not all roses right now for Nintendo either. Like, they had to raise the price of the Switch 2. I know people are all pissy all the time about game key cards and all this nonsense, but overall, things in the world of Nintendo feel and look pretty fucking good compared to everything else. And that's what happens when you focus on a really, really solid brand, when you focus on quality gameplay over everything else, when you focus on natural, mature, financially sound growth, when you play the long, slow, and steady game over the fast, flashy, let's buy, and grow kind of approach, because Nintendo has earned the right to be in the situation they're in, while Xbox and while PlayStation is mostly floundering and Xbox is totally floundering. So it is refreshing to have some corner of the games industry you can go and still have a pretty a nice experience that is mostly free of all the bullshit going on right now. So God bless Nintendo and God bless the Nintendo Switch 2. It's the only thing keeping me sane right now because Xbox is an absolute dumpster fire. But anyway, aside from that, there is something I have been playing on my Xbox a little bit, and it is Impulse. We talked about this game a little bit last week from 1047 Games, the guys that made Splitgate. This is their new Titanfall meets Black Ops 3 competitive 6v6 shooter. I don't know what all the fuss is about. I actually think this game is pretty fucking cool. And for $15, I highly recommend it. I played it a little bit on my Series X on Sunday evening, and then I've been playing it a little bit on my ROG Ally through Xbox Play Anywhere. And this game is awesome. It's 6 gigabytes. It looks pretty good, although the art style I think is a little uninspired, which is probably my biggest gripe about the game. But I think it looks better than Splitgate. The art style to me is more appealing than Splitgate, but still overall less appealing than I want it to be. It's kind of like if Splitgate Splitgate is like Mirror's Edge and the Finals meet Halo, and Impulse is like Mirror's Edge and the Finals meet Titanfall. You know, it's not that much better, but the game looks and feels a little more Call of Duty Titanfall, and I like it a lot. The shooting feels incredibly great, just like it did in Splitgate, and I love that the game really, really, really emphasizes movement. Always be moving, wall running, jetpack jumping for long extended distances over gaps and valleys and ramps and things like that. Super crazy over exaggerated slides. Like this game has Titanfall and Call of Duty have an exaggerated slide mechanic, but this game has an Apex Legends type of exaggerated slide mechanic. Like you hit that slide button and you can go for fucking 100 meters. It's insane the way you can slide in this game. It's absolutely wild. And it's not like advanced movement just for the sake of being crazy. It's advanced movement like done right. Like if you're going to do advanced movement, go all out and make something like what this game is, and this game does it right. So I feel like the gun selection's a little limited. It takes a little while to unlock some of these weapons, which I don't love. But the moment-to-moment gameplay feels excellent. I'm not compelled to purchase anything because the art style is not my thing. I don't care about any of these characters or these skins or anything they're offering here, but I do think the core multiplayer experience is fun. I guess the problem I'm running into with this game is, even though I'm enjoying it, I'm having a similar thing that I had with Splitgate, where Splitgate I enjoyed like heavily for 2 weekends and then was like, this game's great, but my problem is not that I need more competitive multiplayer first-person shooter games. My problem is that there are too many games that I want to play that pull me away from my old reliables like Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield. And I feel like this game has a similar issue where it's like, it's a great game, but I could also just go play Battlefield or Call of Duty or Halo, which are games I'm always in the mood to play. But instead, this game is asking to fill that void where I'm not looking for that void to be filled. I'm looking for more free time to play more games. So I feel like it's not necessarily a game I needed, because I wasn't necessarily looking for a Titanfall type game unless we're going to get an actual Titanfall 3. But I would say, don't expect this to be Titanfall. It's not. It is Titanfall inspired. It is not a spiritual successor to Titanfall. But if you like advanced movement games like Black Ops 3, like Advanced Warfare, like Infinite Warfare, like Titanfall, then yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. For $15. It's totally worth it. And I'm more than happy to throw a couple bucks at this developer, as I have enjoyed Splitgate and now I've enjoyed this game, and I want to support them, and I want to see developers make money and keep their people employed and do well. And I don't expect everything on a fucking silver platter via Game Pass so that people can lose their fucking jobs. More than ever, I want to buy games when they come out at full price, to put my money where my mouth is and show some modicum of respect and support for the games and the developers in this fucking environment that is so sickeningly rough, and in a time where things are so precarious that all you can fucking do to help is vocalize your disdain for the way things are going, and purchase the games that you want to see succeed when they come out at full price in the way that best supports these developers. So I'm going to gladly do just that. And to me, I think $15 to help 1047 Games and Impulse maybe possibly succeed, although I doubt it, because spoiler alert, by day 3, matchmaking was a little slow. So that's not a good sign. This game's probably not going to do well, but I would like to see it do well, and so I'm going to throw a couple bucks and support them. But that's it for what I've been playing, you guys. It is time to round out the show with a couple comments, as we are getting a little late here in the evening. So in no particular order, it seems like everyone pretty much just wrote in about Steam Deck or GTA 6. So here are the YouTube comments from the Xbox On podcast over on youtube.com, and we'll read through the write-ins from the following 5 listeners, starting with Cargo Runner UK, who says, so the Steam machine starts at $1,049 US for the same kind of performance as the Series X and PS5 with no controller. Valve really messed up with the supply chain. I guess that's good for Xbox, as the Steam machine is not going to be an Xbox competitor, but now the pressure is really on Xbox. Can they make the hybrid PC that is way cheaper than making your own PC? I hope Asha can pull it off. The next generation seems doomed at high prices and low adoption rate. So do you think that Xbox will focus on making money from the gaming entertainment like TV and movies, or do you think that they will buy TV film studios to make content based on their IP? They said that they want to be the number one entertainment company, not the number one games company. That's a very astute observation, but I cannot fathom Xbox buying any TV or film production companies, at least not anytime soon. I think, listen, Microsoft, because our government, because in this country, I should say, sorry, Cargo Runner, you're from the UK. In this country, I live in the United States, since our government fails so spectacularly at every single fucking turn to hold any goddamn corporation accountable and make them do anything that they ought to do, I cannot fathom a world where Microsoft learns a lesson, is held accountable, or is denied anything they want. But that being said, Xbox, or Microsoft rather, really ought to self-discipline and be like, no, you bought Activision and fucked up. You bought Bethesda and fucked up. You bought a bunch of studios and fucked up. You have to sit this out for a while and figure your shit out. The way to success, the way to correct the mistakes you've made, is not to go buy more shit. We're not buying a TV company. We're not buying a film studio. We're not buying any of this shit. Go figure out how to make things right. I understand Sony happens to have a film studio with fucking Columbia Pictures and, you know, Sony Pictures and Sony Animation Entertainment, all these things. But like, no, Microsoft does not need to get involved with this. Please, for the love of fucking Christ, don't do that. Don't put any ideas out there, Cargo Runner. I don't like this. I feel like you're willing it into existence, and I'm deeply concerned for the betterment of humanity because you said this. That being said, as a very astute observation, and who knows, maybe, because if there's one thing I know about Microsoft from my time being a Windows Phone fan and a Xbox fan and a Zune fan, and all the rest, is that Microsoft does not learn from their mistakes. They will make the same mistake a million times if they have to. I mean, I think at this point, it's almost fair to say that Microsoft's objective, like their company vision statement, might as well be to buy and shut down every major corporation in the world until there are no more companies left to buy and shutter. Like, that might as well just be the Xbox model. I mean, like, listen, man, hindsight's 2020. Now we're just getting off topic, but like, man, it almost makes you want to look at like a Double Fine or someone and be like, you guys are fucking stupid. Because I remember when Xbox bought them, they released that funny video where Tim Schafer was like, well, Xbox came to us and said, can we give you a lot of money to just keep doing exactly what you're doing and be a part of the Xbox? And I was like, yeah, you can give us a bunch of money. And it was a funny video at the time, and we laughed about it and said, oh, they're so charismatic. It's so cool that Double Fine's part of the Xbox family now, whatever. But it's so funny to think about that in hindsight now and be like, you fucking idiot. Weren't you able to look around and read the room for a goddamn second and see that everything Xbox buys, everything Xbox touches turns to shit? Where is Skype? Where is Zune? Where is Microsoft Band? Where is Windows Phone? What the fuck are they doing with Surface that's barely alive still? Like, do you really think that things are going to go well for you if you let Xbox buy you out? Where is Nokia? Like, come on, man. Like, I would be like, if me as an individual, since for some reason our government seems to think that companies are individuals, if I as an individual had the opportunity to get purchased outright from Microsoft, I'd be terrified for my fucking life, because all I know this company to do is buy, fail, repeat. So I don't know about that. But anyway, hey, they're too big to fail, because every fucking corporation and enterprise is forced to interact with and spend money on Microsoft products and services so they can keep being reckless and stupid with no regard or need to learn and improve whatsoever. Anyway, aside from that, I think as far as Steam Machine goes, it's super important to keep in mind, though, that, listen, Valve is a boutique hardware manufacturer. They've never made hardware. The Steam Deck is a cute little toy in the great scheme of things. When it comes to negotiating with production facilities and plants and hardware suppliers, they don't have the negotiating power to buy things at a good price. So there's never a scenario where the Steam Machine was going to be priced super competitive compared to like an Xbox or PlayStation. But yes, even with these insane prices, I do expect the Xbox Helix to be more expensive than $1,100, unless, and I think this is highly possible, Xbox goes, well, listen, the Xbox Helix that was teased to you under the Phil Spencer administration is not the console you're getting from us. We are going back to the drawing board. That console was designed and theorized in a world where none of this shit was going on, and so now we have to come up with something else. And maybe it's some OEM box, maybe it's some cloud box, maybe it's some box that has half native hardware components built inside and half stream capabilities. Like, I have no clue what the fuck the next Xbox is going to be, because I don't think there's any way that the Xbox that was teased a year ago could be financially viable to build and mass produce today. I just don't see how that's possible. So we shall see. Cargo Runner, you're giving me a lot of things to worry about. Not only a lot of things to think about, but a lot of things to worry about. And then you said, second comment here, you said, great ranty show. The news headlines stated that GTA 6 had a single player mission in the Ultimate Edition. Personally, I don't care if paid DLC is available at release or after release. I get more annoyed by games that are balanced to be very slow progression or grindy. Then they sell you DLC to get bonus resources and level up faster. I have not played a game that does that yet, but I know that is a huge controversy, and that one of the Assassin's Creed games a few years back was under fire for doing that. You said the developer is actually designing the regular edition to be much worse gameplay for base price players. I will pick up GTA 6 if and when it has a physical disc release and has some bug fix patches. I only trust Sony and Nintendo first party to be high quality at launch. I think you can trust GTA 6. That being said, I will never fault someone for waiting it out. I think that is always a smart move. But I personally trust Rockstar. I don't feel any kind of way about giving him money day one, but I'm always also a fan. Don't pre-order games. I'm like GTA 6 is a game I will download the day before it comes out because I want to load it that day and then play it the next day. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that you have to wait that long to play GTA 6 if you're really interested in it. But if you're waiting for a disc version, I say it's worth giving it a good 6-month wait to see if they do it. If not, I don't know, might be time to just move on and bite the bullet and go digital like the rest of us freaks here. Oh my God, my phone will not stop blowing up. Let me mute it again. It's funny. I'm always getting text messages and phone calls, but no one ever wants to talk to me. It's the weirdest thing. Anyway, Decoy Doctopus comes in with our next one. Thank you, Cargo Runner, by the way. Decoy Doctopus says, you said that the Tampa Bay Rays might actually win a game in passing, but they're 5th in the league and they're doing really well. Actually, as of the time I'm reading this, they're number 1 in the American League right now. So fuck you, Yankees. I know the Rays are doing well. I said that because last week they were just coming off a bad stretch. When they went to the West Coast, they got their fucking asses kicked by the Angels and the Dodgers, and I was very upset with how that all played out. But yes, they came back home and they had a very good home stretch. They went 2-2 with the Royals, and then they swept the Diamondbacks. I was at Tropicana Field this weekend. I saw 2 of the 3 games with Arizona. It was fucking awesome. I love the Rays. I fucking love the Rays. They're having a unusual, almost indefensibly good season right now. And I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that's kind of why I said that comment under my breath, was because they were doing really well at the start of the season. They kind of dropped off for a week or two there. Now they're kind of doing really well again. It looks like they're in position to sweep the Royals again here this week. I'm cautiously optimistic about the Rays this season. Listen, we're not going to win a World Series. That's not what's going to happen. I know that life isn't for me. That's not what I deserve. That's not what's going to happen. But can we make it to the postseason? I think so. Can we make it to the playoffs? I think there's a chance that we make it to the playoffs. So I'm very optimistic. At the end of the day, I love Rays baseball. I love seeing them do well with their shoestring budget and their no-name staff. It's always fun to watch. And I also just love seeing the New York Yankees suck dick because I fucking hate the New York Yankees. It's the only sports team I genuinely despise. And so it is always a good feeling when the New York Yankees are doing poor with their crazy ass amounts of money they spend to suck ass. All right, on to the video games. You say Decoy Doctopus. The Steam machine price makes me think that the next Xbox will be closer to $1,500. This would be a good time to have gotten out of the hardware business and just go software. I heard RAM prices won't go down until at least 2030. God bless. Even then, it won't return to pre-2024 pricing. I think games will keep coming out on older consoles for longer. I agree. Yes, this was the perfect opportunity for Xbox to go out and just blame the market conditions, but I don't want to see that happen. Personally, I love that Xbox isn't going down without a fight, and I really, really hope that they fight until the very, very end. So personally, I'm happy to see them do that, even if it results in them releasing some $1,500 console that almost no one wants. I'll be that idiot to buy it, so don't worry, you'll sell at least one of them. But yeah, man, I think you're right, man. It's going to be a hard sell. And regardless of when PS6 and Xbox Helix come out, whether it's 27, 28, 29, doesn't matter. What I can assure you is Xbox Series S and X and PlayStation 5 will be supported for an absurdly long time because the overwhelming majority of people are going to be stuck on those consoles for a very long time because you cannot justify a $1,500 console regardless of what the market is like, especially in a world where each console generation is less or is increasingly more and more underwhelming compared to the generation that came before it. I mean, listen, when I got my Series X, I loved how fast and snappy it was. I liked quick resume. I liked how much better the games looked in 4K and everything. The Xbox Series X was a really cool thing to purchase, but I was significantly underwhelmed in how next gen it felt compared to when I got my Xbox One. And when I got my Xbox One, I was very impressed with how good the game looked and how nice the new controller was and the dashboard and everything, but I was a little underwhelmed with how next gen it felt compared to the Xbox 360. When I got the Xbox 360, I was blown the fuck away by how next gen, how revolutionary, how futuristic, everything about that console felt. We are so far past those days. Xbox fucking Helix could have 18 trillion more kilobytes and make games look 8,000 times better on paper. But at the end of the day, I know when I play a game on Xbox Helix, it's going to look a little better, run a little faster and whatnot. But it's going to feel like a very, very, very minor upgrade compared to the Xbox Series X. And for $1,500 at a time where we don't feel like we need to move on, that's going to be a fucking tough sell. That's all. But I'll be the idiot there to buy it anyway, Decoy Octopus, so fear not. And I appreciate you writing. You're a beautiful man. And I heard that you're really good at making omelets, so invite me over for breakfast sometime. Let's see how that goes. Anyway, Objects in Space writes in next and says, I bought the Ultimate Edition of GTA 6. I don't normally pre-order or buy special editions just for some bonus content, but it's freaking GTA 6, dude. It's been 13 years and will be a long time before we get another one, so I don't mind an extra cost going all in. And yes, I'm aware that they're relying on people with that exact mindset to make extra money. As for the $80 price tag, $130 Australian for the base game with $160 Australian for the ultimate. Yes, it's expensive, but if any game warrants that price, it's GTA, worth every cent. I am so hyped for the game. I played GTA Vice City and San Andreas for countless hours as a kid. I know a lot of people are upset and think that they are locking content behind a paywall, but I think people are forgetting that the base version will also be stacked with content. I also have a theory that why they are including GTA Plus as a bonus. Lots of people pay for subscriptions they don't use, and they'll make a bucket load of money from people that sign up and forget to cancel their subscriptions. Oh boy, ain't that the truth? That is the predatory market strategy for all subscription services: is sign up, forget, never unsubscribe. In fact, I feel that right now because I subscribed to the physical newspaper of The Onion a couple months back around the holidays and said, oh, well, I'll subscribe for 2 or 3 months. And then, I don't need to get this paper in the mail every month. And I have not unsubscribed. Now I have like 7 or 6 issues of the Onion newspaper. And I can't say I really regret it, but at the same time, I should probably cancel that subscription. So you're right on the nose there, buddy. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm instantly tired of the GTA 6 conversation. I don't have much to add to it. I think what they're doing, it could have been messaged and handled a little better, but overall, what you're getting for the $80 version versus the $100 version, I don't personally have a problem with. At the end of the day, it is cosmetics that are locked behind a more expensive version of the game. Don't give a flying fuck. I'm just going to play as Ryan Otto or whatever his name is for 50 hours in the generic base skin. And then I'm going to beat the game. I'm going to shelve it and never play it again because that's how I play Grand Theft Auto. But I'm with you, man. I'm actually a little excited too because Grand Theft Auto Vice City is actually my favorite GTA still. And I know this game doesn't take place in the 80s, so it's not going to be that like neon 80s Miami thing again. But it is going to be Florida, Vice City, GTA, and I'm just excited to experience that in a super modern AAA, never seen anything like it kind of sense. So I don't know, man. I went from like I'll play it at a pure obligation to like, yeah, I'm a little excited for Grand Theft Auto. I'm not like hyped for it. I'm not like losing sleep over it. It's definitely not the top 3 games of the year I'm looking forward to, but it's definitely something I'm excited to see and looking forward to playing when the time comes. So yeah, man, I mean, I'm not going to fault anyone for spending an extra $20. People spend a lot more money on a lot worse all the time. And the gaming, listen, this is unfortunately for better or for worse, how the games industry is currently monetized and how we can help sustain this industry is by doing things like buying deluxe editions and buying skins here and there. It's relatively harmless as long as you don't have a gambling addiction or a money spending problem that greatly impairs your financial well-being, I don't see what the problem is with throwing $20 here or there for a fucking Nicki Minaj skin in Call of Duty or some booty shorts in GTA 6. I think it's up to you. Do what you want to do with your money. I'll gladly, forego the additional $20 of cosmetics, and I will pay $80, play the game, and probably never, ever, 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 ever think about this controversy again, because I simply don't care. And there are just simply so many bigger issues going on in the games industry. I'm a little more focused on what's going on with Arcane and Double Fine and Undead Labs and these guys right now. And so at the end of the day, I can't really be bothered to be screaming at the top of my lungs, pissed off about how there's a couple of flip-flops and motorcycle skins available in GTA 6. So Objects in Space, thank you for writing in. I hope you're having a wonderful week. And I heard you're really good at ice skating and that you could have gone Olympic had you wanted to, but you chose to settle down and build a family, which is highly respectable. And I think that's cool. So shout out to you. Cronky writes in and says, with a two-parter, one, it's funny. I thought the Steam Machine was overpriced, but then Xbox went up to $800. With that as a frame of reference, the Steam Machine is starting to look pretty good. I can't wait for the AI bubble to pop so we can get normal prices for crap. And then I replied to you and said, it is so cute that you think things will be good again one day. Because honestly, listen, I know I'm jokingly super pessimistic, but if I'm being sincere, when it comes to this stuff, it might just be a limitation of my own understanding of technology and my own imagination. I don't know. But I really do feel like full-blown doom and gloom about everything that's going on with AI and with components and with just cost of living in tech and just, I don't feel good about anything. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be negative, but it's crazy. You wrote this in 6 days ago and now the Xbox price fucking went up again. It's awesome. It's wild. But yeah, man, I just, sure. I guess you could say it's good value. At the end of the day, I think it's technically a little less powerful than a Series X, and you can't play Call of Duty or Battlefield on it. So Steam Machine has a lot of things working against it. It's not all good, but it is overall, I think there's enough value in that box that if you have the disposable income and you're heavily invested in your Steam library and you primarily play PC games, I think you can make a case for it and justify it. I just don't think there is any mainstream marketability for this device at that price point. That's all. That's, whatever. But this was never going to be a mass market device. This is always going to be a niche device like Steam Deck is. All right, Cronky's next comment says, I don't really care about the price for Grand Theft Auto, but Rockstar and 2K are really failing at the PR angle here. They're doing a Blizzard thing. They think they're too big for PR to matter. I suspect they're wrong. I mean, no diss because spoilers, and we didn't talk about this on the show last week, but yeah. The rumor or the suggestion is that the reason they're not doing discs is because if they don't release a disc version, there's no chance of the game prematurely leaking because no one will have access to it through nefarious purposes as long as it's digital only, because the game will stay locked until the store, digital marketplaces sell it on launch day. But anyway, you say, I mean, no discs because spoilers, but then later, yes discs? Are you joking? What is this nonsense? As someone who is never going to buy the game, obviously I'm unaffected, but I am enjoying the backlash against them. GTA was always a stupid game with bad mechanics, and I will shed no tear for the billion-dollar corporation that snubs its own audience. P.S. I still can't believe they are skipping PC. Who makes the decision over there? And I don't care that other titles have skipped PC. That's irrelevant. GTA 5 released 13 years ago. It's an entirely different industry than it was. The vast majority of gamers are not on console anymore. You said it yourself, consoles aren't a growing market. I don't think GTA is going to make people go buy a new console with increased prices. I think you're dead wrong. I think you're so fucking wrong. I think with increased prices, people will go, whether it's secondhand market, whether it's the cheapest console they can get their hands on, people will buy a Series S or a slim PS5 or whatever they need to do to play GTA 6. I think you are out of your fucking mind if you think that hardware sales are not going to experience a significant jump when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. I think that is an absolute given. You have to understand Grand Theft Auto 6 is a game that is going to sell crazy numbers, not just to fans of video games, but to people who have not played a video game since 2013 when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. There are going to be people out there who are like, well, I spend $1,400 on a new iPhone every other year. I guess I can spend $900 on a PlayStation and Grand Theft Auto, or whatever the fuck a PlayStation and Grand Theft Auto costs, because I don't have any concept of anything anymore, because everything is constantly changing and the prices are insane. So I'm going to guess that number is vaguely right. But yeah, this is, I just think you're wrong on that. And I think the other thing is that loud minority, man, I think Rockstar can take a beating online for all the things, the poor communication, which I agree with you. They're communicating this poorly. The lack of PC support on day one, which again, you're wrong. Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in 2018, not on PC at first, did totally fucking fine. They have done this for as long as they've been around. It will continue to work for them. I am telling you, they are just fine. There are people who are PC gamers who will go buy an Xbox or a PlayStation just to buy Grand Theft Auto 6 and not have to wait for it. I promise you they will be fine. This game is going to sell like crack. The blabbering and bitching and moaning online is largely going to be irrelevant, just like the people bitching and moaning about how PlayStation is going diskless permanently in 2028 and beyond. But the reality is, statistically, over 90% of people are already buying all their games digitally. So who out there is really going to be making a dent based on their bitching and complaining? People love to bitch and complain and then support the thing that they're bitching and complaining about. There's nothing better than it. I live in a country where from 2020, or I guess from 2021 until 2024, through 2024, all I heard living in the red state of Florida was Joe Biden sucks. Our gas prices are crazy. No one can afford anything. Fuck this guy, the worst president ever. And then we got some other jackass in office and he made up a fake bullshit war to kill people and jacked our gas prices up so fucking high. You've never seen them this high in your goddamn life. And all these people can say is, well, he's going to fix them. It's good. It's temporary. Like, listen, people love complaining about something and then begging for more of the thing they're complaining about. The point I'm making, fucking Americans love high gas prices, bitching about high gas prices, and then voting for high gas prices. You cannot convince me that the 99% of people who will buy Grand Theft Auto 6 who don't follow games media, who don't give a shit about the YouTube comments, who don't care about the people who are physical media only, you cannot tell me that those people that only play Grand Theft Auto and then maybe Call of Duty or Madden every once in a blue moon are going to go, oh, fuck that. I'm not buying Grand Theft Auto 6. It's not on PC. I'm not buying Grand Theft Auto 6. It's $80. I'm not buying Grand Theft Auto 6. It's just a code in a box. You are delusional if you think that of course there are going to be some individuals who won't buy the game as a result of that. But you are delusional if you think a sizable portion of their audience will reject this game because of these reasons. You are so wrong. I wish we were. Let's bet on it, dude. Let's bet on it. I'll bet you 13 fucking fantasy football bucks or whatever the hell people bet these days. DM me. Thank you, Cronky, for writing in. Anyway, let's move on. I love when bad things happen, so I vote for bad things so I can complain about bad things. Because if good things happen, what are you going to complain about? Think about it. Mr. Maug writes in with the final comment and says, as someone who really is against games going up to $70 this generation, I actually agree with you on this. This is the biggest launch in entertainment history, and to only ask for $80 is a steal. I put in countless hours into Grand Theft Auto 5 and was blown away by the story and attention to detail of Red Dead Redemption 2. I will gladly pay full price for Grand Theft Auto 6. I appreciate the comment, man. Now, I'm not generally one to really I don't love the equating value to time spent. I think it can be very reductive and very dismissive of the overall experience. Case in point, my favorite video game of all time is Super Mario Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy takes about 10 to 15 hours to beat, and then maybe 20 to 30 hours to 100%. 30 hours to 100%, right? You can get all the stars and do everything in that game in about 30 hours, maybe a little more. That game was $50 when it came out. It was worth every penny. If that game came out today and was $70, I'd say it's worth every fucking penny. Because even though there's only 10 to 30 hours, depending on how much of the game you wanted to complete, to me, the experience I had with that game, the impact it had on me, the amount I value that game as this intangible artistic expression is it's so impossible to put a dollar value on that experience for me that I don't like thinking of it like, well, was $50 in 2008 worth it for 20 hours of Mario Galaxy? It's like, yeah, it was. And $100 would have been worth it. And $200 would have been worth it. Obviously, I don't expect that to be the case, but like evaluating my experience with that game that I value as the number one best game of all time, you can't put a price on that. And give you a more generalized example as something that's not as emotionally extreme. I think about a game like 007 First Light that just came out, and there is a small contingency of loud, obnoxious people on the internet that bitch and moan about how the hell is it only how is it $70 if the game's only like 10 hours to beat? That's so stupid. It's like, listen, man, I don't have to tell you. I played 007 First Light. The acting is amazing. The writing is incredible. The gameplay is incredibly fun and fresh and addicting and engaging. I was grabbed by that game from the moment the game started to the moment the game ended. It was so fun. And when I look back on the 11 hours or so I spent completing just the main quest, just the main story mode of 007 First Light, I go, wow, that was $70 well spent, because I feel like the entertainment and appreciation I got out of that product for $70 was well worth it. Plus, if we got to do the reductive money spent to time, engaged with or whatever argument, think about it like this: $70 divided by 11 hours, because it took me roughly 11 hours to beat the game. That means I paid about $6.36 per hour spent with the game. All right. If they release a new James Bond movie in theater tomorrow and I go and see it opening night, I'll probably spend $15 on the goddamn ticket. The movie will be 2 hours. 15 divided by 2 is $7.50. So saying that if we're going to make, again, I'm not like attacking you, Mr. Malk. I'm just trying to generally make a point here. If we're going to go by that logic, it costs $7 to $8 an hour to watch a James Bond movie in the theater, whereas it costs about $6 and change to play a James Bond game on your Xbox for $70. If we're going to do the money divided by time spent equation. And I just think it's like, okay, so I know people do think that maybe it's a bad point, because I know people do think movie theater tickets are currently overpriced in today's world, but I don't know, like if it's your favorite movie you've ever seen or a movie you really, really loved, at the end of the day, are you glad to pay $15 to go see it on the big screen? Probably. So I'm more than happy to spend $70 to go play the 007 video game. I don't know. It's just how I think about it. Like Tron Legacy. A couple of years ago, when Disney opened the Tron roller coaster at Disney World, as a celebration thing, they had this very brief moment where the AMC movie theater that's at Disney World at Disney Springs, for a little brief moment there, they had a couple of showings of Tron Legacy, the 2010 Tron Legacy movie, in theaters. You could go to the AMC at Disney Springs at Disney World and watch Tron Legacy in the year 2023 and watch that 2010 film, and it cost like $15 or $20. I gladly dropped whatever it was, $30, $40 for me and my girlfriend to go watch Tron Legacy in the theater in 2023, knowing full well at home I have a Blu-ray copy of Tron Legacy. I have a digital copy of Tron Legacy. I have a Disney Plus subscription where I can watch Tron Legacy. I could pay $0.00 in my home and watch Tron Legacy. But to me, the opportunity to go see that movie, a movie I absolutely adore, and spend $15 or whatever it was to go to the theater and watch it in person, to me, that was fucking worth the money, because I love that movie. I value it as a piece of entertainment that is emotionally resonant. And I just think, I don't know, $15 to have that experience. Sure. I don't know. What are you going to do? Spend $1,000 on a hooker and get an hour out of that? And then what are you doing? Then when you you tell me $1,000 hooker for an hour is worth more money to you than Grand Theft Auto 6 for $80? It's clearly time to end the podcast. I've gone from losing my brain to just full fucking R word. I guess we don't use that word anymore. Guys, that's the Xbox On podcast. You don't have to agree with a goddamn thing I said, but I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you even laughed hard enough to pee in your pants if that's how you so feel, if that's how you so choose to feel. Thank you to all of our listeners. You know, sometimes I gotta acknowledge, I don't know, maybe I get a little autistically fixated on this, but I still think it's cool after all these years. I really appreciate that we got listeners that, you know, some that are with us today, some that have come and gone throughout the years that are from Australia, the UK seems to be, you know, those are big ones because Xbox is big in English speaking countries and territories. But the fact that we have listeners in the UK, listeners in Australia, listeners in Canada, listeners in the United States, it's fucking cool. I appreciate the hell out of you guys. I love that I can just be the absolute moron I am and talk in this microphone and then connect with some like-minded fun fellows in other parts of the world. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate the comments. I really appreciate the engagement. And I hope you genuinely all have a wonderful week. I pray to God none of you guys work in the games industry because it seems like a fucking bleak place to be right now. And I'm hoping against all odds. Listen, I know I'm often a pretty negative person. I wouldn't say I try to be realistic. I'm a little pessimistic, but I am a hopeful person. I hope for good things to happen. What I'm getting at is I really hope right now that in the coming days, as things start to really happen with this Xbox layoff situation, I really fucking hope and pray, man, for the sake of the developers, the families of the developers, the health of this industry. I really hope that these things somehow go best case scenario, you know, that some of these studios are able to spin off and go independent and afford to do so. Some of these teams are able to sell their projects to other publishers or whatever and get their games picked up and whatnot and live to see another day. Maybe Xbox doesn't close all the teams that we're hearing that they're going to close. I don't know, but I'm really just hoping for some silver lining or, oh, it's not as bad as we thought kind of scenario. I really hope, man, because it's more than like, oh, me as a video game fan don't want to see Double Fine get shut down because they're a legendary developer. It's more like, I just don't want to see people lose their jobs. I don't want to see a shitty situation get worse for people. I don't wish that on anyone. And it's just, it's fucking rough, man. Dude, we all just want to come here and talk video games. So I hope we can get back to that at some point. That Xbox can really turn a corner and get healthy again. But anyway, guys, until next week, be good, take care, and power your dreams.